Hello, I'm Christopher Bayliss from FastGrowth Online. Thank you for downloading this workbook entitled Successfully Implement Your Quarterly FastGrowth Priorities. What we're going to do in the next couple of minutes is two things. We're going to look at the context for why this is important and some of the benefits to you. And secondly, using the workbook, I'm going to identify 3 hints that you can use to really get the most out of it. Today I'm joined by Anne Hauser, who's the co-director of 2 companies. One is called Abbotswood Properties and the other one is Super Uni, and they're sister companies. Before we start, Anne, can you just briefly tell the viewers what Abbotswood and Super Uni do, please?
Abbotswood Properties is a design and build construction company run by architects. The principal work is to build and sell houses and apartments. More recently, Abbotswood has been contracted to design and build to let properties for its sister company, Super Uni, who primarily let to the student market.
Super. Okay. So thanks for explaining what your companies do. In the last 12 months, how have you grown those 2 companies? How have they grown?
We started by initiating, in the first quarter, a weekly project team meeting whose principal role was to recruit the new project team. So we've grown from just myself and an assistant 1 day a week to a team of 6 people using that method. And obviously using a project team meeting, we've managed to accelerate that process over the last 6 months. The other thing that we've instigated over the last quarter is visual management, which is very important as your team grows, so that all members of the team can see the range of projects, the stage they're at, and the important tasks that need doing each week. And we review those projects using the whiteboard visual management each week.
And some of these projects came from you downloading this workbook 12 months ago and implementing it with your team.
Yes, one of the important projects is the implementation of a model project. Because we are construction based, there is a danger of us reinventing the wheel every time we approach a new project. So the purpose of the model project, which is now being handed to one of our new recruits, is to actually set down the procedure for inception, development and completing a project, and indeed all the contract information that would be required to complete that project. So we used this workbook to set up a timetable using the Gantt chart to effect that model project.
And just for the viewer, how fast have you grown in the last 12 months or so?
I think that Super Uni, who effectively employs Abbotswood to produce build-to-let projects, its turnover has increased probably by 30% in the last year. But with the projects that are pending, we would expect to double our turnover within another 2 years.
Wow, fantastic. Okay, so the second part of this video is a couple of little hints on using this workbook. You've got your copy there. Can I ask you to read, please, the title page? That's the title page there, i.e. the purpose and the goal, please, Anne.
The FastGrowth workbook, Successfully Implement Your Quarterly FastGrowth Priorities. The purpose of this workbook is for us to plan how to successfully implement the FastGrowth priorities as FastGrowth projects. The 12-month goal is that by successfully implementing your FastGrowth projects, you substantially increase your sales and operating profit.
There is a separate FastGrowth workbook entitled Successfully Implement Your Projects. Right. So if you're really interested in this, I recommend you download it. So I'm going to concentrate on those aspects other than projects, okay? So, but before we do, just let's look at together what's the strategic problem. Can you just read the top of that for us, Anne, and for the viewer?
Many companies claim to have a strategy for business growth, yet they fail to achieve a substantial fast growth. Why? The answer is usually poor implementation of their strategy. Successful implementation of your growth strategy is one of the biggest challenges facing you, the business leader.
Just read just a little bit more on page 1.
There are 3 factors for successfully implementing your fast growth strategy, and they are: identify your projects, break down your strategy into manageable projects, plan your projects, scope out and plan each project, and high involvement, involve all your people in key projects.
Okay, and you certainly have done identifying your projects and broken it down, very strong on project management, and you've done quite a lot on involving your people.
Indeed.
So I'm going to ask the viewers to rate themselves on those 3 factors on a scale 1 to 10, where 1 is barely adequate and 10 is outstanding. I'd like you to be fair about your company, not to be overly critical, but also to be objective. And then most importantly, to draw the strategic conclusions. Okay? So a couple of pages on projects. I'm going to skate over those and move on to page 4. And you're very much into measurement in your company of all levels, KPIs, key performance indicators, lag measures. And I think it's important for these projects you've got to identify your measures for those projects, fast growth projects. Some of those measures you want to be increasing, some to be decreasing. So if it was sales or profit, you want those going up. If it was costs, you want them coming down. Those are lag measures, but also, very important in construction, some lead measures. Some you want going up, some you want coming down. Can you just give an example for your industry, i.e. Abbots Wood, of a good lead measure that you keep an eye on very closely?
I think the number of projects we have on site, whether they're increasing or decreasing, the number of people that we are employing within the whole team, design and build. And I think that a very good indicator is the construction spend each month.
Okay, thanks for that. On page 5A, it's a lovely little diagram. I'll hold it in front of the camera here. These arrows here could, in your case, could be individuals. If it was a much bigger company, they could be teams. And if it was a much bigger company, it could be divisions. It's the same thing. You go into some companies where there's, as it says there, people doing an adequate job. Nobody today does an inadequate job, but often pulling in different directions. Yeah. Second box B, you've got some sense of direction. There is a fast growth strategy, but the individuals in this case, in your case, or teams of this bigger company are not aligned with that overall strategy. And then you go into other companies where there's a very clear shared sense of purpose, very clear strategy, and the individuals are really lying behind that. And here is really what we're aiming for: a growing, profitable and secure future. That's what you want, isn't it, in all companies?
Absolutely.
So I'm encouraging the viewer just to think where they are. Again, not be too critical, but to assess themselves. Do it with yourself first as the business leader, and then ask your team to assess themselves. Okay, that's the second hint. And then the third hint is something you've been very strong on, is involve your people in your fast growth projects. And there's 5 tips going down that page, from creating curiosity and interest, launching the projects, keeping everybody involved, etc. Just tell us about how you've changed as a company in terms of involvement.
Involving staff, making them understand the goals of the company, keeping them appraised by visual management. We've increased the level of commitment of staff and, of course, their productivity. Dramatically.
Before we close, I would like to recommend a book to you. It's entitled CEO, as in Chief Executive Officer. It's an American book, Tools, as in tools to use. It's written some years ago by a gentleman called Craig Kramers. He owns a number of companies and some really valuable tools, but the one that I've flagged there, it's about doing quarterly business reviews. That's one you can see that. Can you see that, Anne?
Yes.
And also quarterly priority management. And Craig has transformed these businesses that he's bought and run by using very much what we're focusing on this workbook. Okay. And I know that you've got some very exciting development plans for the future with both Super Uni and Abbotswood. May I wish you every success in those. It's going to be a very busy, exciting time for you. Thank you again for giving up your very precious time to come and be with us today.